Well, hello, everybody. Great to be on with you guys today on Thursday afternoon. And I'm excited about my guest. This is Danielle Dellaquila. Am I saying your last name right? I know you're Danielle to me. So
Danielle too. Yeah, it's actually Danielle Dellaquila, or
Dellaquila.
say in Italy, Dell'Aquila.
There you go. Italian, exactly. So Danielle is based out of Massachusetts area, and she's been working with drjockers.com now for close to a year. And you are our nutritionist. And so you handle a bulk of the questions coming into our website and work with some of the Facebook groups and helping answer questions on social media. And so you're a vital part of our team and our goal to help impact and influence as many people as we can and help them reach their health goals. And so thankful for you and your role with drjockers.com. And today, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, I'm going to let Danielle share her health testimonial story. It's a really powerful story, very inspiring to me, and one of the reasons why I actually brought her on. And not only does she have advanced education, she's got a master's degree in nutrition, she's gone through a functional medicine training program, but also she's got the real life health challenges and testimonial, the overcomer testimonial as well. So she can really empathize with her clients and, really feel their pain because she's been there too. And I'm going to have her share that. And then we're going to go into 5 strategies to help heal chronic inflammation. If you've got any sort of health condition, whether you're dealing with brain fog, whether you're overweight, possibly you've got pain in your body, any sort of, whether it's neurological issue, pain, weight type of issue, anything like that, these are all related to inflammation in the body. And so these tips are going to be absolutely vital to you. And let's see who's tuning on. So if you're coming in, be sure to let us know where you're coming in from, because I know we got people from all over the world. Here's Brenda from Fayetteville, Georgia, not far from me because I'm in the Atlanta area. We've got Judith coming in. She says, good morning. Good morning, Judith. Great. Thanks for being on. We got Kate coming in. Happy Thursday. Such a beautiful day here in New Jersey. Danielle, how's the weather out there for you?
Right now it's starting to clear up a little bit, but we've had a ton of rain for the past, I would say, 18 hours. It was coming down all night long. The rain kept waking me up, but it would sort of lull me back to sleep. So it was nice.
Absolutely. It's like that here. It's been raining a lot. We were able to get out and get a walk in this morning, my family and I, but last night it was pouring. So we're kind of like that with you. All right, let's see who else is on here. We got Mariana from Italy. Italy. Yeah. Danielle's Italian. So there you go. We got Maddie coming in from Brooklyn, New York. We have got Joyce coming in from the Philippines. So people from all over the world tuning in. And again, I'm about to interview Danielle. And so she is functional nutritionist, one of our functional nutritionists for drjockers.com. If you were to email nutrition@drjockers.com, she'd be the one responding back to you. And so she helps a lot of people with different health questions, different challenges. She also takes clients as well. And, I've found for most of you guys out there, you really, really benefit from getting health coaching, one-on-one coaching, especially if you tried a lot of things on your own and just haven't gotten the results that you want. Okay. And we try to provide as much content and information as possible. But, sometimes having somebody that has, walked the journey with hundreds and thousands of people in the past could take you hand by hand and walk you through the journey, show you exactly what to do, what tests to order, what supplements to take, what foods to eat. That can be so helpful. And Danielle does that for drjockers.com. And so, Danielle, why don't you share your story and really how you got into nutrition to begin with and your health struggle, your most recent health struggle especially, and how you were able to overcome that?
Sure. So it's really interesting because I kind of went to a mainstream sort of nutrition graduate program about 20 years ago. I started actually in 1998, graduated with my master's. I ended up getting married and pregnant in grad school and homeschooled my kids. So I kind of kept my career at bay for a while. But I would always practice really good nutrition with my family and, continued to learn independently as my children were growing and I was homeschooling them because, of course, I wanted them to be raised with the best diets possible and have them be as, strong and healthy as they could be. got very much into natural lifestyle, like went away from all sorts of chemicals and food additives, and really practiced a whole foods diet with my children and myself. And then as they got older and decided to go to school, I started studying gut health. A good friend of mine's son, she's a lovely, lovely woman. I got to spend the week with her camping when we went camping. She's the one who really got me into intestinal health. Her son, who I met when I was a La Leche League leader way back when, he and she came to our meeting. He was 2 months old and he had colitis. And at the time, it was the first time I had ever heard of colitis. And she's like, help me, my baby is bleeding in his udders. Like, what do we do here? So fast forward 9 years. The boy's 9 years old. This is probably about 6 years ago now. She's telling me about how he's following this diet called the GAPS diet. And I'm like, heck's the GAPS diet? And I got the book. I started studying it. I decided I was going to do the certification, but I never ended up doing that because I went another route. But anyways, I was thinking to myself, like, wow, what a horrible, horrible thing to have to go through. But here's this little boy, 9 years old, following the GAPS diet, like consuming, steamed cauliflower and bone broth. That's all it could eat. Everything else was causing symptoms. So he was a true inspiration for me. Fast forward a few years later, and unfortunately, I had the severe unfortunate opportunity. Sorry about that. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, you're still good.
Okay. So, unfortunately, sorry, my telephone is coming through on my computer. I had a tooth infection so badly that in the middle of the night I had to go to the hospital. It was like creeping up into my brain, and it got really, really scary for me. So I went to the hospital in the middle of the night. First, what do they give you? Antibiotics. Like I said, I've spent my whole adult life, like extremely healthy, no prescription drugs, hadn't been on antibiotics in probably over 20 years. But I had this infection that I was really worried was going to my brain. So I went on the antibiotics. Time passed. Guess what happened? It came back again. So I eventually had the tooth pulled. Meanwhile, I went camping and got bit by a tick. So in 3 months, I had 3 rounds of antibiotics.
Wow.
As we all know, anyone who knows anything about intestinal health, that is like the perfect storm for opening up to pathogenic bacteria or whatever. So, of course, I had been very interested in this gut health. And I thought to myself, like, wow, I'm kind of missing this one thing where I haven't been through it yet, And so I really feel, looking back, that this was a blessing in disguise that I got this. So I ended up getting Clostridium difficile, which, as we know, is one of the worst bacteria to get because, as I explained to my clients, my army had disappeared. My army, my good bacteria that was able to defend me, disappeared because of 3 rounds of antibiotics. So at the time, I was in denial. I was in complete denial. I had no idea that this is what it was. And because I had such good intestinal health to begin with, ate fermented foods daily, took, all the best probiotics out there, had a great diet. As long as I took my probiotic, I kept the symptoms at bay. And if anyone knows about the symptoms of c-diff, as we call Clostridium difficile, you're going to the bathroom 7, 8, 10, 14 times a day. So literally for 6 months, I kept it at bay as long as I was taking my probiotic twice a day. I'd forget to take it for a day, symptoms would come on. I was still in denial. I thought, nothing's wrong with me. I'm so healthy. So that was in July, all the way to Christmas time. Christmas time, I ended up taking my girls on a trip to Puerto Rico. And because I wasn't practicing my same diet there, because it was more difficult while traveling, my symptoms were horrible. I got so sick while I was there. Looking back at the pictures, I was so thin. I just didn't look healthy. And so I came back and I'm like, I know what I have to do. I've got to do the GAPS diet. So I ended up putting myself, and I worked with a naturopath, a local naturopathic doctor, and she put me on these awesome antimicrobial herbs, and I did the GAPS diet for 3 months religiously. and totally cured myself. Totally, of course.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, I had gone to an infectious disease specialist, and kind of after I started healing myself, and he said, "You did what? You healed yourself of c-diff without antibiotics?" He had never heard of it before.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And
really cool.
Yeah, so it's left me with some sensitivities, as you know. I've heard you speak of that before. Like there's some things that are not the same as they used to be, but I've pretty much figured them out. And it is. I mean, I always think nutrition is complete detective work. And you know, and the best thing is that, you know, if you have someone working with you, they can help you figure that out. And that to me is really important, because I did have a close friend that I was able to sort of, you know, talk to and go back and forth and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And so after all that, that really inspired me to do the functional medicine program with the Presser Institute, because I was like, okay, there's got to be other ways to do this too. I want to learn more. So I did that year-long program, and then you came along and this opportunity, and yeah, here we are almost a year later.
That's right. That's right. And so I always love hearing stories about how people have overcome chronic issues, because when you're in the challenge, you know, it's hard to see the other side, right? But because you went through that, it's made you a significantly better practitioner. And now you're able to help so many other people with those kind of issues. And when you were when you were on the GAPS diet, what were some of the main foods that you were consuming on that?
So as you know, the biggest thing with the GAPS diet is to bring down the inflammation, to, you know, put water on the fire, diet down, because everything I ate, you know, was irritating me. And I had this gut infection that I needed to get rid of. So I would say for the first, I was pretty good about, I think I did 7 days of like bone broth.
Mm-hmm.
There was always bone broth cooking in my house.
Yeah.
Bone broth and really well cooked vegetables, and, you know, little pieces of the meat that would fall off the bone and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was a full on week. And then I'd slowly add things back in, like the extra virgin olive oil and the coconut oil and the avocado. Oh my goodness, when I was able to eat avocado, I just it was so
yeah, for sure.
And then the eggs, you get to, you know, first you add in the egg yolks and eventually the egg whites. And so, yeah, but it was a good solid month of mostly consuming vegetable broth soups 3 meals a day.
Yeah, really well cooked foods, because they're just easier on the digestive system. Raw foods, even though raw foods are great, they can be really stressful on the system to try to break those things down, especially things like broccoli and cauliflower and things like that. So, yeah.
I would recommend for people to eat, you know, if they're going to eat those types of foods, to cut the stems off and peel the stems, and then cut the remainder up and cook it really well. Because you're right. I mean, that was one of my biggest triggers, was raw foods. And still to this day, my body does not love salad greens, which is a crime.
You know, I'm actually right there with you, Danielle. Like, I can eat a salad and be fine, but if I'm eating a lot of salad over multiple days, I notice the same thing. So
that's interesting you say that, because my farm share just started back up, and I thought, oh my goodness, please be okay with salad this year. Please be okay. Yeah. And the first time or two I had it, I was fine. But then I had it three days in a row, and I wasn't.
Yeah. And that's part of the detective work, is like kind of figuring out your threshold on different things. You're absolutely right. Yep. And so I know before we got on here, we discussed 5 tips for healing chronic inflammation, 5 things you did and 5 things you recommend for your clients to do. And so let's jump into that next. What was number 1?
So I mentioned food sensitivities, but I want to put food sensitivities / figure out gut infection, because I failed to say that before, and I think that's really important to figure out if you have a gut infection, because you have to take away that trigger, or no matter what the food sensitivities are, they're going to continue. You know, it doesn't matter. It's going to seem like everything's a sensitivity if you don't figure out your gut infection. So gut infection, food sensitivities, and again, that's detective work, like you and I were just talking about, because you never know what it is. I mean, I have some people tell me I'm giving up because, one day I'm fine with gluten and another day I'm not fine with gluten, and it doesn't seem to make any rhyme or reason. And for me, when those types of things happen, I think you probably have a gut infection and we really need to figure that out first.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we got to keep that microbial load under control. And it's like pulling weeds out. It's something that we just got to constantly be doing,
Yeah.
Just like your garden or your lawn, we've got to constantly be keeping that gut in check. So important. And if you do have that chronic infection, you're really not going to get well until you get to that root cause. So totally agree with that. All right. What was number 2?
Number 2 is a low sugar, nutrient dense diet where we're eating as the food that gives us the most bang for the buck, I like to say.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't necessarily matter about calories. There's still a lot of people who are like concerned about total caloric intake. And to me, when you take away the processed food, you take away the sugar, and the foods that you're choosing are only from nutrient dense whole foods that don't irritate you, that you're really most likely going to do an okay job. But I will say, as far as inflammation goes, we should really limit or eliminate grains. Get most of your carbohydrates from starchy vegetables that are nutrient dense, like sweet potato and taro and winter squashes and stuff like that. Lots of coconut oil, coconut milk, all those things that sort of put out our fire, that don't cause inflammation in our body. Avocados, absolute favorite. I tell people, if you can eat an avocado a day, it's going to help. It's going to help regulate your blood sugar, because I think it's going to stay. It's filled with fat and fiber. I like to tell people, fat and fiber help you feel full. And also helps promote inflammation decreasing. So I think that all those types of foods are really, really important. Vegetables, and whether they're cooked or raw, depends on whether you can handle them or not.
Totally. My family, we do 20 avocados a week.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Between my twins, between my wife, myself, I eat like 2 to 3 a day. So
good for you.
I just, it's like in every meal. So they're just so good.
I can remember one of my clients saying several years ago that when I eat the avocado every day, I'm so full that I don't feel like eat much. And it's true. Like I find myself, and I think you've said this before, I find myself not hungry so often. It was my 16th birthday yesterday, and we had a little snack by a river that we went to. We were celebrating, and then I was thinking, oh my God, I have to stop eating because I want to be hungry when we go out to dinner. My girls look at me like, Mom, you're never hungry. And it's just because I think I can find that fat and fiber thing all the time. It just really satiates me.
Yep. And you have that metabolic flexibility. You've developed that metabolic flexibility where if for some reason your insulin, your blood sugar goes down, instead of all of a sudden getting hungry, your body just starts breaking down your own body fat and utilizing that. So your ketones start going up, and then you just feel satiated. And that's really the state that we want everybody to move towards, right? Most people are very metabolically inflexible in our society, and they're just dependent upon their blood sugar. And once their blood sugar starts to drop, they have cravings, they feel irritable, hangry, and they have more inflammation, and they're not doing well. And so you've developed that. And obviously what you're talking about here, low sugar, nutrient dense diet, that's really, the foundational step for developing that metabolic flexibility. So excellent. Now, number 3, what was number 3?
Trying to determine if you have any nutrient deficiencies.
Right.
I think that when we have autoimmune issues, or we have gut inflammation or dysbiosis, I think most of us tend to end up having some sort of nutritional deficiencies. Me, for example, I think my serum B12 went down to like 350. So
wow.
That's lower than we want it to be, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually just had blood drawn this morning to see if I'm back up or not. So we'll see. Hopefully I am, because I've been supplementing with our B strong.
Yep.
Hopefully all that has done its job. So I think figuring out nutritional deficiencies and then supplementing where possible. One of the foods I didn't mention in the low sugar, nutrient dense diet, of course, would be fatty fish, salmon, so
Yep. Yep.
omega-3s, which obviously promote inflammation to decrease. It's really important to include those foods. And
Yes.
if you have a nutritional deficiency of omega-3, there's lots of great supplements out there. I constantly recommend our Pro Omega CRP. I absolutely love that supplement. And I think, in the program that I studied, they recommend for heart disease or any sort of inflammatory disease to eat a pound of fatty fish a week. And I think that's a great suggestion.
I think it's a fantastic suggestion. You think about like salmon. Salmon are so strong. They swim upstream against the rapids, and they could jump up to 20 feet out of the water. You think about the strength that they have, and that's the omega-3s, the astaxanthin, all the mitochondria that they have. And so when we consume that, we're getting all those vital nutrients, and that's going to help really build strong, healthy muscles, tissues, strong skin, just so many great benefits to it. So I'm totally with you on that as far as that goes. Now, you were deficient in B12, and can you go into a little bit of the importance of B12 and maybe some symptoms people might have if they are deficient in B12?
Sure. I think one of the symptoms would be fatigue, because all of the B vitamins help make energy in our body. They help make ATP. They take proteins, carbohydrates, and fats and help us turn them into energy. So without those essential B vitamins, we're not able to make make the energy, make the ATP. Numbness and tingling is one of the sort of later type of symptoms. I have some friends who've been through that, who are getting, the B12 shots and so forth and so on. So B12 helps coat them. It makes the myelin, the sheath that goes around the nerves. And so if we don't have enough B12 to make that, then our nerves get compromised, and we get sort of those symptoms of numbness and tingling. So things that and gut issues, basically, I think it has to do with the fact that, we're not producing enough hydrochloric acid, which we need to be able to release the B12 from our food in our stomach. So without that initial release, then our body is not able to absorb the B12. It has to do with like intrinsic factor.
Exactly.
So I know that, when people have gut issues, that's one of the first nutrients I think about. You might want to supplement with this.
Yeah, that's a really common one, B12. And that's one that we test with like our complete thyroid test, also our micronutrient test. We look at that, and I see it deficient in a lot of people. Are you seeing that too?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. It's definitely something, if you're out there, you definitely want to get that checked. And oftentimes you can ask your doctor, if you're already getting lab testing done with the doctor, you can ask them to do B12. A lot of times they will, and I would highly recommend it. Another big one would be vitamin D, getting that checked. It's usually an easy one the doctors will do. Sometimes they won't, okay? And we offer that in our complete thyroid test as well as our micronutrient test. So those are good ones to look at that for. Now, what's number 4? What's our fourth tip here?
Fourth tip would be getting enough sleep. That whole thing of sleep is underrated. I'll sleep when I die. Not a good idea. Anyone who's telling you that, it's not a good idea.
And you'll be dying quicker. Yes.
Yeah, getting the 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep is super important. Developing some sort of meditation or mindfulness practice, and this is one of those things that's easier said than done. You could like put it on the prescription pad of doing this, but actually putting it into practice is really difficult. So I try to urge people, and I am going to take you with me. I just noticed my battery is low, so I'm going to lose you.
A little tour of Danielle's home right here.
I'm going to get a tour on my front porch, but I just had the notification, battery low, not good.
She is in beautiful Massachusetts.
Yes, here's Massachusetts. So I'll sit in my dining room, so I'll be close to a plug. Sorry about that.
No worries at all. Yeah, good sleep, mindfulness, meditation, just so absolutely critical. She's going to go into that in more detail here, but it's one of the big things that people overlook. A lot of times people think it's all about diet, okay? But you know what? Honestly,
Hello? Did we have a little hiccup?
Okay, I see you're on.
Now I'm on. Okay.
Okay.
I think we just had maybe some sort of hiccup. I don't know if the
Yeah.
internet went dead or something, but we're good now.
Yep. I can hear my little guys in the other room just crying and whatnot. So I was a little bit distracted. So go ahead. We were talking about good sleep, mindfulness, and meditation.
Yeah, and like you said before,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Let's see, Danielle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, hopefully she'll be able to get back on, and hopefully you guys can still hear me. If you can, definitely let me know that I'm still on here.
I can
Trying
hear
to
you.
check it out. Okay, you're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
don't know
as
why you're not coming in here.
I'm not.
Go ahead and can you see me?
Yep. I could see you and hear you. See and hear. Huh. Strange.
So Danielle, I can't hear you.
Oh, bummer.
Are
Everything's
you able
good.
to hear me?
Yes. Yep. Hmm. Did we?
I can see you. I can see you nodding here, but I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you and
Can
I
you go
see.
ahead?
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know what to do. Huh. Should we? You can't hear me at all.
Can you hear me, Danielle?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So I think we're on again. Not
Yay!
sure what happened there, but I know we were talking about good sleep, mindfulness, and meditation. So why don't we jump into that?
Yeah, so I think you started leading on to this that no matter what your nutrition's like, no matter what kind of great supplements you're taking, no matter what you're doing to eradicate intestinal dysbiosis, like I think Chris Kresser said this when I studied with him. You can't diet and supplement your way out of, say, like HPA axis dysfunction. Like
Yeah,
you really need to take the stress out. You really need to focus on mindfulness, meditation. All those things are really, really important. And if you don't, then your health is going to suffer for it for sure. It's almost like the missing link that I
yeah.
think people don't take the time to actually apply to their lives. My daughter, she turned 16 yesterday. About 6 months ago, she started getting some anxiety, and she totally took on a meditation practice. She was waking up 10 minutes early every day to meditate before she'd get ready to go to school. And I'm so proud of her. And now, like, she's totally calm and relaxed. And I could hear when she starts getting anxious about something, she takes on this breathing practice that she does, and it completely helps her. And I'm so proud of her. And it's
Yeah.
just so nice to witness because, our thoughts are powerful.
Mm,
And what we think and how we think really control how we feel. And so
yep.
we do control over how we feel by what we think. And so we have to, we can't help but think, but we can help what we think. So I really try to focus on having a positive attitude, think healing thoughts, picture what your life would look like if you had all the health that you wanted.
Mm.
What would that look like? Who would you be if you were healthy? So I think all those things are really important to put into practice.
Yeah, I think that's so critical. I'm really glad we touched on that because, again, it's mindfulness. I mean, really our default state of mind and how we're kind of approaching life every day is either sending signals to put us into fight or flight or into the part of our nervous system that tells our body to heal, to digest our food effectively, and to rest and regenerate. And really, it's kind of like an 80-20. We definitely need some stimulus that gets us kind of in that fight or flight, right? But for the most part, 4/5 of the time, we need to be in a kind of a state where we're able to rest, relax, and regenerate. And when that's not the case, we're going to end up with chronic inflammation down the road. And so, mindfulness, really good sleep practice, regular meditation. It's so awesome that your daughter's doing that at 16. I mean, how many? They should be teaching that in high school. They should be having meditation classes. We'd have a much better, saner society if we did, right? But unfortunately, it's not the case. But your daughter has really taken that on, which I commend her for that. So give her a big high five from me for that. So, okay, let's talk about number 5 here. The last principle that we had discussed.
So that last principle that we discussed is having enough movement in your life, but not too much.
Yeah.
And this is, again, something that I probably didn't realize until a year and a half ago, that you can exercise too much.
Absolutely.
The right amount of exercise would be considered a eustress, right? A healthy in our body. But too much exercise can be just much of a distress as other bad things we do. So to me, what I've been, I used to be a runner. And I'd say in the past year and a half, I've pretty much stopped running, which has been a little bit hard because I was a runner for 15 years. And it's one of those things I can leave right outside of my house. I could do it in a half an hour, all sorts of yummy endorphins when you get back. The head, the cobwebs, decreases the stress. But, I'm going up and down my stairs and my knees sound like I'm 70, 80. And so I just thought, like, this can't be doing that good for my body. Like, it might be doing good for my stress and whatever, my physique. But for me, I really wanted to start taking more care of my joints. I was also having some inflammation and some muscle and flexibility imbalances in my hips. So I've really stepped away from running. So, I practice yoga weekly. I'm a big hiker. I'm lucky to live in an area where we're surrounded by all these lovely, like, smaller mountains, 1,000, 1,200 foot mountains, not very high, but enough within 5 miles of my house. I've got probably 50 different trails I can go to. So I feel really blessed with that. I love to do beach walks and mountain bike riding. So to me, you don't necessarily have to go to the gym or pound the pavement for, an hour, 2 hours every day to be healthy, to be fit. I recently bought a standing desk. And so things like spending time standing throughout the day rather than sitting, I think you burn like a third more calories and promote better posture. Sometimes I'll take, if I've got clients that I don't need to be by my computer or by a notebook, I'll take a walk and I'll talk to them instead of, sitting. Just practicing what you preach is so important. Like I pride myself in being pretty good about that, because I think, like, why would people take my advice if I'm not walking the walk, So I try to just get in those steps, get in those 10,000 steps a day. You don't have to go to the gym and go crazy all the time. And I do think that's good a couple times a week to get your heart rate up there and do sort of a high intensity interval training exercise. But I think for the most part, if we focus on activity, I think we'll be a lot healthier for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're really moving like our ancestors, right? You're moving, you're out in nature, and there's a healthy electromagnetic frequency that comes from nature. So just getting out there, which you're experiencing in the woods. I mean, it's one of the best places, on the beach, things like that. So yeah, just so good for your body. And you can absolutely overtrain. I was doing this for years. I always felt better when I would exercise in the morning. And, when I was younger, it was just not uncommon to just get a really good high intensity 30-minute workout in the morning. And I started realizing I was tired around midday, and I was working out 6-7 days a week. And then I had kids and I realized, you know what, I don't have the time for this anymore. So now I've cut it back to 4 days a week and I actually feel a lot better. I'm stronger. I recover better, less inflammation in my joints. And so sometimes less is more. But at the same time, every day I make sure I'm moving, going for walks. We dance at night as a family. We'll put on some worship music or something like that, and we have our worship time, and we're dancing around, and just have fun, and make movement fun. I think that's super key. What'd you say?
To do a Facebook Live of that.
You're right. I need to do that. I've been telling my wife that I need to do that. You'll love it. So it's so hilarious. My boys are just, in fact, at our church, they take them into like this little worship sanctuary, and they always tell us, like, whoever's doing childcare at the church, they're always like, your boys just love the worship, right? They're like getting up and just jumping around and stuff, and they're 2.5, so it's funny. But but anyways, yeah, healthy movement just so critical here. And so I really want to thank you for your time, Danielle, coming out and being on with us. And for those of you guys that want more, we're going to actually jump in and answer a few questions. But I put a link for Danielle's page where you can actually find her on drjockers.com so you can learn more about her and about her coaching program. She is an excellent health coach. I mean, just listen to her obviously talk all about 5 tips to reduce chronic inflammation. So if you're out there looking for a coach to help you walk through this, you can definitely reach out to her and contact her about that. So I put all the information down below. Also, real quick, Danielle, what are your top 3 supplements that you love? And also feel free to share your coupon code with with our audience as well. So if they want to jump on and get a couple supplements.
Sure. I think 2 I mentioned. My favorite is the Be Strong. I love that one because I do think that on days that I take it, I take it in the morning. I don't recommend taking it past 3 o'clock because I really do think it can give you like some energy. And I've noticed if I take it in the day, it's like I have a little trouble falling asleep. So I would say that is one of my favorites, the Pro Omega CRP, because I think it's really important to decrease inflammation in the body. And then lastly, I love the cortisol defense. And of course, that's not everybody, but for a lot of people with, either cortisol, cortisol dysregulation, if you have, your rhythm is messed up, or if you have high cortisol, I really like to use that. I've had great luck. It helps people sleep better. It helps people, decrease that feeling of anxiety. And I'm going to throw in number 4 because I love
go ahead.
Brain Calm too. The Brain Calm. My daughter loves it too.
Yeah, Brain Calm Magnesium. Yeah.
I only have it at our house, and I actually get her one so when she goes to her dad's house, because she comes back, she's like, Mom, I need the Brain Calm.
Yeah, absolutely. Magnesium, we didn't even talk about that with nutrient deficiencies, but that is way up there. And yeah, if we're under stress, for sure, magnesium's like go-to. Like you said, that cortisol defense, you got ashwagandha in there, theanine, you've got lemon balm, right? So all these really, really powerful herbs that help balance out your stress hormones, which is going to play a big role with your blood sugar stability. They're also all anti-inflammatory. I take that before I go to bed. It just helps me sleep so much better, that cortisol defense. And she also touched on the Pro Omega CRP. That's actually got omega-3 fatty acids, purified omega-3s. It also has curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric that gives it its really powerful anti-inflammatory punch. And then it's also got glutathione and a precursor called N-acetylcysteine, which help obviously boost up your body's master antioxidant. So it's a really great anti-inflammatory cocktail, and it's kind of a large pill. I always kind of warn people, I'm like, if you can swallow a larger pill, this is the most powerful one that you can get. There are some individuals out there that they choke up with it. Then you got to break it up and you got to take kind of your fish oil over here, your curcumin, and your glutathione, smaller capsules. But if you can get it all in one, right, that's what we got the Pro Omega CRP for. So let's see what kind of questions we have. We got a few minutes left here. Let's see. I know a lot of people are talking about our freeze. We're sorry about that, guys. We had a little computer freeze there.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Let's see. A good question here. Let's see. Carol says, what were you going to say, Danielle?
People want the discount code, Nutrition 10. 10%.
Yep. And I'll put that up there too. So if you want to save money on your order, just go ahead on our drjockers.com store. Just put in the coupon code nutrition10, all one word, and you'll get 10% off your order. All of our shipments, we have free shipping on all orders over $49 in the United States. So take advantage of that for sure. Let's see. Carol, we got some comments here. She says almond milk and stevia for years, avocado, and the oil from it. Yeah, avocado oil is a great oil to use. High heat point, smoke point on that one. And avocados are rich in lutein, zeaxanthin, which are powerful carotenoid antioxidants, and that's also in the oil too. Let's see. She says bone broth is so wonderful. Absolutely, it is.
Oh,
Let's see.
Delicious. Yes, I love those Asian soups. I got to go to Vietnam last year, and my gut was never happy in my life as when I was drinking soup, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's what they do there. It's awesome.
Yeah, they pretty much have it in just about everything. So constantly getting, and soup is just so rich. I mean, when you especially if it's from the bones. Soup in general kind of has the essence of whatever vegetables. Like if you make a vegetable soup, you have the essence of those vegetables in there, and in a very easily digestible form. But if you have the bones, you get the bone marrow, which has all the immunoglobulins in there, a lot of conjugated linoleic acid in the bones. So a lot of really, really good stuff. Let's see. Rosa asks, would these tips benefit an elderly man with BPH? What are your thoughts on that, Danielle? So benign prostatic hypertrophy.
Oh, I don't know a ton about that, to be honest. What do you think?
Yeah. So Danielle's really a specialist in autoimmune conditions and gut issues. That's where she really thrives. And she can help pretty much everybody improve their health. But that's really her sweet spot, wouldn't you say, Danielle?
Yeah,
absolutely. And so prostate issues definitely related to inflammation. And so absolutely all these things would be kind of the foundational principles for somebody with BPH. Now, oftentimes there are some key nutrient deficiencies. I see vitamin D low for a lot of men that have prostate issues, prostate hypertrophy. Also zinc oftentimes is a big factor. So those can both be big issues. And then getting the right movement. A lot of times, BPH develops when men have, as a chiropractor, I see this a lot, spinal malpositions or subluxations in their lower back, right? And so those nerves run out into that prostate region. So making sure, in our society, we sit so much. So making sure we're getting good motion in our SI joint, our sacroiliac joint, is very, very critical for that. And we actually have a whole article, I'll post that later, Rosa, on prostate issues. Let's see, other questions here. Okay, let's see. Trying to look for good questions. Rose says, finish 3 weeks of antibiotics tomorrow for kidney infection. I'm a vegan. When do I start leaky gut healing and what's best? That's a good question. Okay, so a vegan approach to healing leaky gut. Danielle, can you give her some tips?
Yeah, so, a vegan diet can be a little bit tricky because most vegans consume a lot of grains. So we can do a vegan ketogenic like diet, and that would be probably a much better choice for healing the gut rather than a typical standard vegan diet. Most vegans I know are very, very deficient in zinc, B12, B6, vitamin D. So when I hear vegan, I feel like, it's sort of my job as a practitioner to really make sure people understand the risks of being vegan.
Yeah.
Because I do think there are a lot of health risks. And, I was a vegetarian for 14 years, so I get why people make these decisions. But I will say, after I started studying intestinal health, I started eating meat. And I don't eat a ton of meat. I always think of meat as being almost like a condiment. It's something on the side. And to me, like you said, consuming those broths. So, I would first check in with, this is Roz, and, really start thinking about why you are a vegan, and probably encourage her to do some nutrient tests to see if she's deficient in it. And sometimes that will make people be convinced of perhaps adding some sort of, at least eggs and good grass-fed dairy into their diet. Those are at least some ways that they can ensure that they're getting some of these nutrients. Zinc's another one.
Yeah.
Um, Iron, there's all sorts of nutrients that vegans are mostly deficient in. And I have experience with that with my daughter, who was 17 and a half and hadn't menstruated yet. And she's low, very low body fat, but we did a nutrient analysis and she was low in zinc, iron, B12, and D.
Wow.
I supplemented her for 3 weeks and she got her period.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
if you are a vegan, very important to take some of those vital nutrients that we just talked about, because that's gonna help your gut. That's just gonna help your body strengthen and provide all the nutrients you need to be able to help your leaky gut. And bone broth is one of those important ingredients. And if you're a vegan,
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, somebody could do like a vegan cleanse or something like that for a short period of time, but I don't think there's a whole lot of health benefits to being a long-term vegan. Some people are able to do it, which is great for them, but in general, I see a lot of people end up with more health challenges when they do that. So you don't need a lot of animal products, but just getting the right strategic animal products can be really, really helpful there. Let's see. And then as far as healing leaky gut, I would try to focus on the foods that we talked about, right? So she talked a lot about avocados and olives. And, if you are a vegan, if you're not going to do the bone broth, try to do like a really well-cooked vegetable soup. That could be really helpful. Get a really good high-quality protein powder. We've got one called Gut Healing Protein that is a vegan protein. And as the name implies, it's gut healing. So it's got compounds in there that help heal leaky gut. So definitely check that out. Let's see. I know we had a question. Okay, here it is. Denise says, what's the best nutrition for your brain? What are a couple things you like to do to help improve brain health?
Lots of omega-3s, going back to that salmon, the mackerel, the herring, all that fatty fish, coconut oil, fats. The brain is 80% fat or something like that?
Yeah.
So, Dr. Perlmutter talks about the dangers of low-fat diet as far as the brain health goes. And I really think that if you can make your diet at least 50% of good quality fats, you're going to protect your brain from many degenerative brain diseases in the future. I would say fat is the best thing to include.
I would completely agree. I would say fat and good hydration, right? So we got to conduct electrical currents through the brain. We need water to help with that conductivity. We need minerals. So eating a trace mineral-rich diet, like the foods that Danielle's been talking about, broth, avocados, olives, grass-fed, organic animal products. These are all very trace mineral-rich. Dark green leafy veggies, all very trace mineral-rich. Okay, let's see. One last question. Okay.
L-threonine, that's in the brain calm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That brain calm magnesium has got that L-threonate form of magnesium, which crosses the blood-brain barrier, helps improve the little gaps between the neurons. Really, really good for sharpening mental activity. That would be, a really great go-to supplement as well. So last question here. We've got Trish. She asked a great question. What about skin problems? Is that food allergies, histamine level? So like eczema, acne, maybe hives, things like that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, skin problems could certainly be related to food allergies. It could be related to histamine levels. It could be related to gut infections. So finding out the root cause is really, really important. Just because someone has eczema, you don't really know the underlying cause until you dig deeper and try to figure out what it is. I know after I did the master cleanse about 10 years ago, and after I did that, I could not tolerate dairy. My shins were covered in eczema, and of course, I never had it in my life before. And it took again some detective work to try to figure out. I think that when you clean up your diet and take away a lot of things that might have been bothering you all along, you don't really realize it until you take it out for a long time, get really, really clean, and then add it back in. But there are, that we have a great low histamine diet article on our website that tells you all the different foods to keep away. We've got different supplements to be able to help decrease histamine levels. We've got 3 different supplements. We've got the allergy defense. We've got the HistaDow and the HistaResponse. Am I saying the right ones? So all those are really, really helpful in decreasing histamine levels if that's the root cause of your skin problem. But Trish, I would say it's a little bit hard to say that skin problems are caused by just one of those, because it could be one of many, or a couple of many.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I would say number one, if you have a skin issue, think about what you may have put on the skin first. But after you kind of get through that, usually that's something that would go away quickly, right? If it was just like a soap or a lotion or something. If it stays chronic, I would be thinking about gut health. And typically with skin issues, usually they're the last thing, in a sense, to show up. When there's a gut problem, they show up downstream. And then oftentimes, as you're getting your gut healthier, they're one of the last things to leave, believe it or not, right? That's been my experience. And absolutely, if it's like hives and you're noticing it when you're eating higher histamine foods, like fermented foods and things like that, then try, that sort of food elimination diet, removing the histamine foods. Okay, that would be a great first step. And if you're seeing that, you're seeing changes there, that you may be onto something. And then you can also support your gut with some kind of histamine reducing supplements. Like we have a couple on our website, like Danielle was talking about: HistoProtect, HistoResponse, Allergy Defense. So that would be great. If you're not noticing change, you're trying different things with your diet, you're just not noticing change, that would be a definite time to reach out to a functional health practitioner, somebody like Danielle that's got a lot of experience working with people with these kinds of things, so they can help be a guide and a coach to you, to walk you down the path and look for the root cause with you, and just kind of go through the journey together. That's extremely helpful. And oftentimes the journey can be extraordinarily frustrating and lonely when you're trying to do it alone. When you do it with somebody, you save yourself a lot of time, money, and energy in the long term. So would highly recommend that. So guys, it has been great to be on with you. Danielle, any last words of inspiration for people?
Again, I'm going to go back to that visualization, keeping a positive attitude and really, really having faith that you can get better. Because I know when you are sick, you can go to a really dark place, of feeling hopeless. And especially with, the way our medical system is, unfortunately, it's not always helpful. It doesn't always help look for that root cause. It might help, take away some of your symptoms, but you're not going to get better until you find that root cause. So I say, don't give up, keep a positive outlook, reach out to me if I could be of any assistance, and I'd be honored to help anyone out there.
Love that. Thanks so much, Danielle, for being on, and we'll definitely get you on down the road to answer some more questions and help more people in our audience. And so hopefully everybody has a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on a future broadcast. Be blessed, guys.